research really shows that like the onset of very negative effects on your health and productivity is when you sleep constantly less than 6 hours a night. But somewhere between 7 and 9 hours is generally kind of the recommended hours of sleep that you should get. If you have really high job demands, a lot of stress, long working hours, that has a negative effect. People feel obliged having to check their work emails just before sleep. If you have really long commutes to work, that has a negative effect on your sleep duration, mainly because you probably have to get up early in the morning to get to work and then also have a long commute to come back home. But actually there's a lot of research showing that drinking alcohol before bedtime has a negative effect on your sleep quality, but also, for instance, if you drink too much water before you go to sleep, you might have to get up at night. And there's also this notion of the blue lights that you're exposed by watching TV or using a tablet just before you go to bed, which could have a negative effect on the production of your sleep hormone melatonin, which means that your overall sleep quality could be impaired. So we looked at Canada, the United Kingdom, the US, Germany. We find that on average, a country loses per year between about 1.5% up to 2.9% of its GDP every single year because people are not sleeping enough. So we find that, for instance, on average, people who don't sleep enough, they're more likely going to be absent from work, or what we call absenteeism, but they're also more likely going to go to work but are not as productive as they could be. But there's also the long-term component. So we know that if you don't sleep enough and not well over a long period of time, it's associated with the onset of certain conditions such as Alzheimer's disease, cancer, or heart disease. If you don't sleep enough, it has a negative effect on your mortality risk. There's research showing that if you don't sleep enough, you're more likely to have a car accident. With some research showing it's almost to the same level as driving under the influence of alcohol. They always think about, I shouldn't drive a car when I had under the influence of alcohol. But actually, if you didn't have a good night's sleep, you potentially put yourself equally at risk. I think some emerging evidence suggests that people, because they're probably not having to commute anymore, or a lot of people don't have to they kind of skip their long commute because everybody's working from home, they tend to sleep longer, but their overall quality might not be as good as before, just because it's a worrying time. A lot of people are worried potentially. There's a lot of uncertainty, which subsequently could have a negative effect on how well people sleep. So I think over time we will know more about how this pandemic affects people's sleep behavior. But I think some emerging evidence is suggesting that's probably not too beneficial for it.